Now it's time for our weekly energy update with Dan McTeague, President of Canadians for Affordable Energy.
Well, hello again, Julie. And yes, another great week for price discovery, where we're heading in the last weekend of 2023, the end of December, Christmas and New Year's. And it looks, Julie, like we're going to see a very, very quiet end to the year, very much like we've seen in 2023. Nothing really spectacular. A lot of issues that would normally mean higher prices, or at least prices moving in certain directions. But it looks like markets are pretty satisfied that there's a comfortable level of energy, oil, gas, diesel. We haven't seen any cold spells anywhere really around the world, although China would probably argue that that's not the case. They have experienced some of their coldest weather on record. But in the northern hemisphere, it doesn't look like we're seeing much activity, and that's probably one of the main reasons why gas prices continue to be stable. And ironically, Julie, we probably discussed this last year. They're pretty much where they were this time in 2022. So if we're looking at a redux of what we've seen over the past year, I would say the outlook for 2024 is very typically January is quiet, except for diesel starts to go up a little bit. February, a little bit more. March, stable until the end of March, beginning of April, when we see the federal government's carbon tax kick in. That's 4 cents a liter. We will also see 2 weeks after that, around the second or third week of April, the switch over from winter blends of gasoline to summer blends of gasoline. So it'll be 5 or 6 cents a liter. Then, of course, we have to look at variables. And we've been doing this all year with respects to the Canadian dollar. It's been, relatively speaking, weak. And when you have $70, $80 oil, normally you see the Canadian dollar coming within parity of the US greenback. That hasn't happened. And that's critical. People understand that because all of our commodities, whether they are made here or not, are priced in US dollars. So it affects not just the cost of propane, diesel, natural gas, oil itself. It also affects the cost of food and every other item that we use in this country. So having a 1/3 discount, or at least a premium of 132, 133 to 137 pennies means that the price of everything is extraordinarily and remains extraordinarily high. Now that could change this year. I'm not seeing that. But for now, let's look at the across the country. Vancouver has been very lucky, staying in the $1.70 range, not $2, which they're used to. Same for Vancouver Island, particularly Victoria. A few cents cheaper, 167. And I'm not expecting those prices to go up. In fact, I'm not expecting them to move maybe a penny or so in the next week or two. But if we look at the rest of BC, they're looking at great prices, anywhere from 152 Prince George all the way up to about $1.68 if you're looking at Kamloops and Kelowna. But there's a lot of competition, so we're seeing some gas stations drop their price, especially when there's very little traffic. Now, if I'm looking at Alberta, the big issue there will be record low prices, $1.12, $1.15 in Calgary, $1.18 in Edmonton. And the interesting part with all that is that on January 1st, the provincial government will be bringing back and restoring a 9 cent premium, which is the provincial tax. It's the only province in the country that doesn't have a provincial sales tax. I think Manitoba will be heading that direction soon. But it means that we're going to be looking after December 31st at prices moving up about 10 cents a liter with GST. For Saskatchewan, nothing to write home about, still $1.30, roughly $1.28 to $1.32, Regina, Saskatoon. And for Manitoba, Winnipeg in particular, a little bit more at about $1.32. Again, not much movement there. For Ontario, you're paying $1.44 to $1.46. We might see that drop to $1.43. We might actually see it go back up to $1.46, but really nothing to move those prices. In Quebec, of course, always 12 cents a liter more expensive because of taxes, same wholesale price. There, of course, prices will range in the $1.58 to $1.60 vicinity. Same for Quebec City, which is always a few cents more on the retail margin. Maritimes, again, they follow what happens in the rest of the country, usually a week behind. So not much fluctuation there means not much fluctuation for Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and of course for PEI and New Brunswick. Where we will see some big changes, and I think that's really good news, is between now and I would say the first week of January. Look for diesel and home heating prices to drop about 5 to 7 cents a liter. And that, of course, would mean a little bit of relief for people who this time last year were paying as much as 30 to 40 cents a liter more. Julie, that's it for this year. And it's been a wrap. It's been great working here. Looking forward to working and providing the updates in terms of gas prices in 2024. Get ready. Could be a very interesting year. Merry Christmas. And of course, for all your viewers here, Happy New Year.
Thanks for that, Dan. And that was Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.